Okay, go down to my head height. There you go.
Okay, well, welcome to the Stand Up Sit Down. We've got the ultimate guest with us today because we've been wrestlers and we do comedy as well. So we've got wrestler turned comedian Mick Foley. But Mick, I refer to you as a comedian, but don't necessarily refer to yourself as such. More of a storyteller, is that right?
Yeah, I just figure I'll let other people decide what I am. It still just feels funny for me to say I'm a comedian, although I will say I do stand up. Sometimes I do sit down. By the end of this night tonight, I'll probably do lie down comedy.
See what your energy levels are like.
Yeah, it's a shame that my the program, apparently, it didn't necessarily sell out as much as the programs didn't all arrive. But I mentioned that when I go out there, I throw a lot of stuff at the wall and I see what sticks. You know, tonight I think my biggest task is trying to fit in all the little stories I was reminded of, all the little props I was given, gifts, and I was attempting to work them all into stories. So my entire set would be based around stories that came up during the meet and greet, gifts I was given, a picture of Howard Finkel, for example. I have no idea why I was given that.
I saw that.
And it would have made for a really unique set. Here's the Al Snow comedy tour, with the rib being that it's completely empty. And then I actually filled it with notes. You know, I met a girl named Mandy, and I was like, hey, wait a second, you know, I have a little thing I do, a song, you know, the Barry Manilow song, Mandy. There's no way I can fit it all in. You know, I do tend to go long when I'm out there. Whether that's a good thing or not, that's for people to decide.
Well, if the audience are demanding more, then you can't argue with that, can you?
Is it like a wrestling match in terms of you can have like a vague idea, or is it rigidly scripted?
I try to have bullet points. I don't know if I'm yet comfortable enough to just go out there with a few ideas like I used to in wrestling. I try to have an idea on where the set will go, and I'm finally learning, okay, if I'm running really long, I had to cut what probably is the best actual story I have, as far as a story that keeps coming around and ends up at a certain point with the most laughs in it. But if I were to have done that story, the set would have gone long and hurt the overall, you know, the overall show. Much in the way that you can have a series of great matches on a show, but if you don't have that like little popcorn match that allows people to catch their breath, if it's too much like a downhill plunge and not enough like a roller coaster, you can lose fans in a wrestling match. So, like everything else in life, I take the lessons I learned in wrestling and try to apply them to stand up. And what's cool is they're both inexact sciences. They're both arts, and no one can say it has to be done this way. That's up for, you know, the individual to decide.
And you find that you're still learning a lot. Now, how long have you been doing the stand-up for now? When was your first official, what do you consider your debut in stand-up?
Well, I'd spoken to universities, and I told funny stories, but I didn't have to be funny. They were more like humorous stories. And so my first actual stand-up was at the Improv in Los Angeles. It was like a 25-minute set, maybe 2.5 years ago, and it went really well. And from there, the expectations were so high that I was being booked into like 3,500 seat theaters without the promoter realizing that's not realistic.
Yeah.
So I essentially gave it up because I didn't like the idea that we were losing money for clubs. There's no way you could put enough people in to justify what they were charging. And B, it was kind of disheartening. And like an independent wrestler, I realized if I wanted to really make it happen, I really had to apply myself. So Chris Brooker actually approached me with the idea of doing this tour, and I canceled out on him at first with some, you know, ridiculous thing about having to do WWE television when my contract expired. But honestly, I can admit this to you now, I was a little worried, you know, I'd come over here and wouldn't really have the heart, and people would be seeing less than a quality show. So I was lucky that some guy just booked me out of the blue to do stand-up. He hadn't gotten the memo that I'd stopped doing it. Like well over a year since I'd done my last stand-up show. He booked me in way up in upstate New York, right by Canada. And even though the crowd was small, it was a good set.
Yeah.
And it made me think that I should at least test it and see what happens. And first thing I did was contact Chris. I was like, let's put this thing together. And out of respect for what the guys do, you know, the other comics, I've been trying to learn the craft and going out and doing unannounced sets at clubs, you know.
It's very brave.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of a gutsy thing to go out there. It's going to be it'd be fun and relatively easy tonight, and the crowd's going to be pretty forgiving.
They're on your side.
Yeah, they're on my side. They want to laugh. They don't want to give me a hard time. And so when I go back home, I'm going to have the bar set this high as far as what a good time in comedy is supposed to be. So, and then I'll have to go back to work and really work on non-wrestling stuff.
Well, that's it. So have a lot of your shows, obviously they've had a predominantly wrestling-based audience.
Yes.
Are you going to start filtering more now? That's what you're expecting, into a more mainstream kind of general audience, and that's what you have to cater your comedy for?
No, this isn't a great example because apparently he's not that popular over here, but there's a singer, a rock and roll singer named John Mellencamp, and in the early 80s he was known as Johnny Cougar. And then he came out with his second album, and then he was just John Cougar. His third album, he was John Cougar Mellencamp. He was using his real last name. He was covering more serious themes, and by his fourth album, he was John Mellencamp, and everyone forgot that Johnny Cougar even existed. The point being, he was able to kind of metamorphosize into a much more serious rocker without losing the people that liked his kind of fun rock and roll to begin with. So I'm hoping, that the wrestling audience is really big. The biggest task for me is to let them know what I do, because I really think they'll like it.
Yeah.
And if not one other person joins on, that's not a bad niche to fill. If you're doing, I think this tour has shown that a wrestling comedy show can be successful, and that people who are brave enough to venture out as non-fans are actually enjoying themselves. I ask them, and they go out of their way to tell me. I get messages on Twitter and Facebook saying, "Hey, I'm not a wrestling fan, but I had a really good time." So all the people I've seen in this tour, the one that bothered me was a young lady who absolutely, positively would not smile. And she came up to me afterwards. She was like, I did enjoy the show, I just didn't understand it. And that's what got me. I was like, I try to make it inclusive.
Yeah.
So that even though I'm talking about, crazy guys I've met along the way, and talking about Vince McMahon and little stories from the road, I think, for the most part, people can enjoy them.
Because it's things people can relate to on a base level.
I think they're very relatable.
Actually, I watched your stand-up on the internet with people in the room that weren't wrestling fans, and they really did enjoy it. So that's...
I try to use the wrestling as a jumping off point when I get to other subjects. And honestly, I'll do two different versions of what I call my Mr. Miyagi routine, and it'll be two distinctly different versions. And you do not have to be a wrestling fan at all to appreciate it. You don't even have to know the Karate Kid to appreciate it. So maybe like 5 years from now, if I pursue it, and I don't know if I will, maybe there'll be people who won't even realize I'm not really doing wrestling material anymore. But these, the guy, like, I'm writing down like stories that I think are fun, and I'm, reminded. I saw my book Cheatham Brown, which people in the UK actually read, and it reminded me of my germophobia and how I addressed it in a novel, because my mom told me you couldn't actually address it in public, that you're afraid to shake hands. So you see me kind of breaking that today, but I've also got the bottles of hand gel and going in and washing my hands several times. And maybe that's not the best.
It's difficult for being one of the most friendly and approachable people in wrestling to not be too fond of shaking hands.
So I really don't know what this set's going to be like, because, like I said, I do tend to go long, and I do want to get in my the one story that involves me and Edge at WrestleMania, and includes Hell in a Cell. I think it's a pretty good story.
Excellent. On a very comedy-related note, who are some of your inspirations in stand-up comedy? Who is it that you've maybe not necessarily taken anything from, but who do you like in stand-up comedy? Who have you grown up watching? Who are you a fan of?
You know what? I envy guys like William Regal, who really is a student of English comedy. Like,
yes.
I really, if people are going to support me over here, I should know more about English comics. Like, I know the English comics have been successful in the U.S. Are we having our break?
The interval's running at the moment. I'm just going to tell you timing, because we've looked at the clock and how it's going to have to work. You're going to get a light flash. We've gone off the clock rather than how long you've been on stage. So at 8:20, you'll get a flash light. Okay. That means that's probably wrap up what you're on to get to Mr. Miyagi.
Okay.
8:30 is whatever you're doing, do Mr. Miyagi right now.
Okay.
And 8:40 is stop so we can do the Q&A, because we need to be done for 9.
Okay.
So that we can get the audience.
How many more minutes of this do we have?
Well, we're going to go back at quarter
No, what's
two.
the Danish comedian? He was already on.
No, that was Ian. He's English. The Norwegian comic is coming on
So
next.
Norwegian comic's coming on after the break.
Yes.
All right. Okay. What's his name?
Oh, not after the break. In the second show.
Oh, okay.
So we're
okay,
doing one support.
Oh, I got you. So man, I better write
you're
down
on
my
next.
ideas on my hand. All right.
I said
Let's have a
you
couple more
better get some
questions and then
material.
we'll go,
Yeah.
okay.
I was going to say, Fozzy played on Raw. Would
Yeah.
you ever do a stand-up set on Raw?
You know what? I don't know. I don't. It's funny because when wrestling fans are there, they're there to watch wrestling. Music. I don't know if it would lend itself well. I think people have to know they're coming to see comedy. You know, I can do comedic things in the ring without the need for people to be laughing constantly. It's not the same vibration. I would really be hesitant to do that unless I was really sure that I could do a good job of it.
It shows a very good sense of self-awareness there.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
Well, Mick, thank you
All
so
right.
much for your time.
Sorry, but I got to put my set on my hand, okay?
Thank you very much.
Well, yeah, absolutely.
Thanks,
Try
guys.
not to smudge it too much. And we look forward to hopefully seeing you on our television on Monday
I
night.
appreciate that. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks
All
for
right,
your time.
cheers.
Thanks.
Hello everybody, my name's Ed Surname, this is Laugh or Cry TV, and this week's webisode is a best of show, showing all the clips from the past weeks. And Laugh or Cry TV is every Thursday on the internet. Hope you enjoy it, cheers.
Like what?
Oh no, someone's got to run in with plastic.
Dad, Edward, I've got a spider on my arm! Is it on there? There was a spider on my arm! There it is there, look! Please help me! Where? Oh, something's sticking on my feet. Tina, mind?
Right, let me.
It was on my arm because... Sorry, Tommy. Will there be any more?
Oh, I'm so pleased that I didn't turn that off. I was just about to turn it
Oh
off.
shit, that'll be on YouTube.
No,
next
no,
week.
it won't.
Oh, yeah, I bet it was
Week
on my arm.
after.
So you...
Got it, Ed. Okay, we're here with this gentleman today.
So a very happy birthday, Edward.
Is that or not?
You take that. That's
That
enough,
wasn't.
yeah.
Is that one any better?
No, I'll pass on that one. No, I'll pass on that one. Right. Okay. So you want to sign? Just.
Excuse me. What were you? Excuse me. What were you doing 2 years ago? What were you doing 2 years ago?
Playing it.
No, do you remember? I met you on the Friday and we arranged to meet on the Monday to film something and you didn't show up, so I was waiting for hours. Presumably you don't remember, because if you couldn't remember the appointment after 2 days, I doubt you remember it at all after 2 years. But I thought it was worth asking.
Yeah, because about that, I forgot on it.
That's alright, do you want to make friends? Yeah. Handshake?
When you're doing it again.
Well, all it was, I've got my camera now, you see, and I do an internet show, and I was wanting you to do a theme for it, because I like your harmonica.
Yeah.
If you just play a bit,
Alright.
then I'll be able to take it,
Okay.
and then I can use it, and I'd be very grateful.
Okay.
Do you want to do that now? Thanks so much.
Right, something nice.
Whatever you like. Yeah, that'll do. Thank you very much.
Oh! You alright? You're dead. I love you. There you are. That's good.
Like a glass of water? You didn't expect to be filmed by a portable video camera today, did you?
Eh?
You didn't expect to be filmed by a portable video camera?
No, why?
No, I'm just saying. It's just an observation. Observational humour.
What for?
What do you mean?
What do you want?
Oh, it's just, this is going on Channel 4 tonight.
Is it?
Yeah.
What is it, mate?
9 PM.
Not for me, thanks.
When you pour out, what are you doing? Filming this?
Yeah, the Christmas do.
Edward, stop filming me!
No, because you don't do the on the street bits for me, so this is the best I've got.
I've always got my hair up in stupid ways. Can you leave me alone? Please don't go. I'm freaking out. Not funny at all.
Can you tell everybody about my website?
Edward, I'm gonna do it, but I'm not.
Tina, please, can you tell everybody about my website?
Alright, I'll go and
Hello. I was wondering if I could book a flight to America, actually.
How many tickets do we need?
I wanted to form some buildings, actually. I'm only joking. Just my combat rolls?
And again. No.
I just wanted a flight to America, you know?
Just the one.
Right.
Right.
Okay. Whereabouts in America? New York.
What the hell? You're alright? Alright, nothing. Sorry.
I really don't think you should be right there.
What's that?
Could you please leave?
Sorry, we're not meaning to cause any trouble, it's just trying to...
Excuse me, could you stop playing that? Could you stop playing that for a minute, please? Could you stop playing that? I was in a pissing way a few years ago, and now she says she's going to call the police. Over there, that lady over there says she's going to call the police. I'm making a documentary.
What?
Well, I'm just saying, I was in her pissing way a few years ago. Like 7 years ago.
What?
And now you're playing an accordion or whatever.
What? On melody.
Sorry?
Melody.
Well, yeah, just play something as I walk away. Thank you. Ba 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 ba.